Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Peace be upon us all. Your Excellency, Helen Clark, UNDP Administrator, Honorable Ministers and Ambassadors, distinguished guests, business leaders, ladies and gentlemen. Let me begin by welcoming all of you to Jakarta and by expressing how honored we are to host this important conference. You have picked the right place for a global conference on the green economy. We are now in the midst of an ambitious campaign to plant 1 billion, yes, 1 billion trees nationwide. If any of you are interested to plant a tree under your name, let us know. Indonesia is also a hotspot for climate diplomacy. Indeed, it was in Bali 4 years ago that climate negotiators engaged in dramatic tussles during the UNFCCC COP13 in Bali, which, alhamdulillah, led to the historic Bali roadmap. We have come a long way in the climate negotiations, but despite enormous effort by the international community, a global climate treaty is still elusive. This is why your meeting here is so important to show that the climate issue is very much alive and that despite tough economic challenges and problems in the Middle East, we continue to press on to find common solutions to global problems. The theme of your conference this year, Leading by Nature, delivering transformative solution for our planet, what a clear theme is right on the mark. It is time for us to think outside the box. It is time for us to think of new, imaginative ways to resolve the monumental challenges that we face today and tomorrow. To begin with, even though globalization is set to promise a world of plenty, we actually face a world of increasing scarcity. It is predicted that by 2050, the world population will reach 9 billion. The human race will need plenty of clean air, food, energy, water, and other resources. However, according to some estimate, by 2050, our energy resources will be short by 40% and food supply by 60%. Today, we continue to be addicted to oil, while non-fossil fuel energy sources are still struggling to catch up. The number of regions that are burdened by a condition of water stress are multiplying. The greenhouse gas emissions also continue to rise toward a dangerous tipping point without waiting for diplomatic solutions. This growing scarcity is bound to produce stressful communities. According to the World Food Programme, there are 925 million undernourished people in the world today. That means 1 in 7 people do not get enough nutrition to be healthy and lead a productive life. Meanwhile, our planet will see more disasters. A report from the UN Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs indicates that climate-induced disasters are now on the rise, and around 70% of disasters are now climate-related. up from around 50% from 2 decades ago. So, transformative solution, we need plenty of that. We need solutions that will transform the way we live, produce, consume, work, travel, and play. We need solutions that will place the environment and climate security at the heart of every public and corporate policy. We need solutions that will make economic growth and technology not the nemesis, but the ally of our climate stability. And we need solutions that will serve the practical needs to slow, stop, and reverse the process of climate change. The case for transformation solution is therefore compelling. I am convinced that we are not short of creative solutions, yet somehow we are still short of political will in some nations. What is certain is that government alone no longer have the solutions. To secure our climate future, we will need a grand scheme that will involve a combination of government policies, international cooperation, market incentive, technological innovation, civil society participation, and corporate participation. This is where you are, as captains of industry, can make significant contributions. You do not have to wait for the multilateral negotiation to produce a new global climate treaty. You can start to act now to make a difference. I am glad to see among us today leaders in various sectors. We have business leaders that provide technologies using alternatives to fossil fuels. We have leaders in engineering and design sectors that provide solutions on green building technologies and design. We have leaders that provide innovative and creative solutions to promote renewable energy. And we have leaders in forestry, agriculture, and food industry that can share best practices for sustainable agriculture and forestry management. Together, the private and the public sectors must collaborate further and go beyond business as usual. You are your resources together, and we will certainly come up with transformative solution to save our planet. In any transformative solution, the questions of financing is always the key. There is no easy answers, especially as we anticipate tough times with the global economy in the short run. At the UNFCCC COP16 in Mexico, we have come up with an innovative idea to establish a green climate fund to ensure the deliverables of funding for enhancing actions on climate change in developing nations. We fully support this initiative and will actively be involved in the process to establish the fund in Durban at the end of this year. The big question is whether the developed and developing world can now move on and come up with transformative solutions. Every year, in keeping with evolving economic and diplomatic circumstances, we kept modifying our ambitious goal to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. We all remain committed to the principle of common but differentiated responsibility and respective capability. Yet, I also believe that developed countries must take the lead, and developing countries must also do more. Finding that precise balance and right division of labor between developed and developing countries have not been easy, but without it, there can be no climate stability for our planet. We must uphold the new premise that ultimately our national interests and global interests are intertwined. We in Indonesia have long known that. We know that we are poised for higher growth and for an important role as part of the climate solutions. Thus, our green economic mantra is called pro-growth, pro-job, pro-poor, and pro-environment, and of course, pro-business. Even though we posted the third highest growth among the G20 economies, we have been very mindful of the need for growth with equity and for an inclusive and sustainable development. It is a lot of ball to juggle with, but it is necessary challenge. Indonesia is never shy to push the limits of climate cooperation. And with the support of international business community, I believe Indonesia can implement green economy to achieve 7% economic growth and 26 reductions of greenhouse gas emissions from business as usual scenario in 2020. To achieve these goals, Indonesia is seriously developing forest scheme to reduce greenhouse gas emanating from terrestrial sources such as from forests and peatlands. Indonesia has also established various funding initiatives to support the low carbon emission development. We have established the Indonesia Climate Change Trust Fund and Indonesia Green Investment Fund. We have requested UNDP to facilitate a financial institution that can manage the REDD Plus Fund, following the letter of intent between the government of Norway and the government of Indonesia. Let me elaborate more on what we have done with our forests. Indonesia, as a country with one of the largest rainforests in the world, together with other forested countries, intend to play a significant role in reducing global carbon emissions. At the global level, Indonesia has spearheaded greater cooperation to conserve and manage forest sustainability through the Forest 11 Forum. The F11 was established to ensure that forestry countries can collectively be part of the global climate solution, while also attending to their rightful economic and social development needs. I am pleased that the F11 has produced several collaborative projects which can be complemented with other international deforestation emission reduction initiatives. We are also actively pursuing bilateral forestry cooperation. For example, Indonesia has promoted creative forestry partnership with Norway, the Republic of Korea, Australia, Germany, Great Britain, Japan, United States, and other countries. These programs will add value to the current Sumatra Landscape Program financed by a Debt for Nature swap scheme. We invite all of you to join our endeavor in preserving and expanding these crucial carbon sinks in high biological diversity areas. In the context of national policies, Indonesia has developed a REDD Plus strategy that supports strong economic growth and reduce greenhouse gas emission. Our REDD Plus action goals will be attained through greater sustainable peatland and forest management. Working with our partners, we will protect Indonesia's globally significant carbon and biodiversity-rich tropical rainforests. This partnership aims at helping local populations become more prosperous and not impede their development aspirations. Furthermore, REDD Plus is an example of a new course for managing Indonesia's natural resources without abandoning industries vital to the economy. It is about sustainability for continued growth, enhance human capital, ensure social equity, while at the same time achieving our emission reduction goals. Consistent with the RED Plus initiative, Indonesia offers to allocate the expenses of plantation and other economic activities to already degraded or low carbon areas. Indonesia has more than 30 million hectares of degraded land which are critical to our sustainable economic growth. This means there is sufficient land available for economic production, including the future growth of palm oil and forestry. Allowing for expansion of palm oil and forestry into degraded land is one of the areas that the government is committed to and working on. I am pleased to announce that my government will grant access to degraded land for the industries that are serious in expanding or are planning to invest on this land for the welfare of our people and the future of our planet. In addition, new policies and incentives will also be on the table for those who would turn unproductive grassland into high-yielding and productive assets. Our basic policy is utilizing the already degraded land for productive purposes while exercising best practices and of not expanding uncontrollably land use for agriculture that is threatening our environment. The success of this program is critical to our success in pursuing a green economy. Achieving a green economy will require collective visions, creativity, actions, and support from a broad cross-sections of society, especially the business community. It will require sustainable consumption and production as part and parcel of a green economy. You can step forward and play an important role in promoting green economy. You can come up with a new model that generates the business growth while reducing the overall environmental impacts. The government of Indonesia recently launched its economic corridor frameworks, which will be the roadmap for Indonesia's sustainable economic growth. It is a plan for sustainable economic growth that would merge Indonesia's commitment to reducing greenhouse gas emissions with clear and actionable steps for achieving strong and sustainable economic growth. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we all must play our part to secure our climate future. We cannot lose steam at this late hour. We need to have faith on many approaches that may look trivial and small, such as use of recycled material, planting trees in your backyard, and using energy-efficient appliances. If conducted with persistence, day by day, by millions of consumers around the world, these approaches will generate an enormous impact on the effort to reduce the effects of climate change. We must also keep in mind that addressing the climate and environment need not be a zero-sum game. The poor and local communities must benefit from our efforts to save the planet. And in doing so, government cannot do the effort alone. As all of us move on toward low-carbon development, we will need the greater participations of civil society and business leaders as our partners to realize a robust green economy. Therefore, let me once again invite all captains of industries here to contribute to the creations of a green economy and low-carbon future. Finally, ladies and gentlemen, I wish you all productive deliberations and fruitful outcomes that should lead to transformative solutions for our planet and our future generation. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.